Welcome one, welcome all to episode 250 of the Xbox Expansion Pass, recorded on Saturday, November 9th, 2024. I'm your host, Luke Lohr, the InsipidGhost, joined by my co-host, the intrepid Captain Logun. Today we are celebrating 5 years of XEP, 250 episodes. We'll be chatting about fond memories, guests, disappointments, and celebrations. Of course, there will be some gaming news as well. Logan, we like to start the show by offering words of kindness to those who have made our gaming weeks better. But first, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. I'm having a really good time with Call of Duty, especially with our boys. And I don't know, just 250 episodes is kind of wild, man.
Yeah,
like, that's awesome. It's a hell of a milestone. I know. Gosh, I think thinking back over the last couple of years, it's just been wild where Xbox was. Like,
yeah,
just thinking about all the different things that have kind of come and gone. We haven't really like done anything too special for like kind of the milestone episodes, but still finding a lot to actually talk about like on a regular basis and stuff. And I don't know, I was going back and thinking about like when I jumped on, how that dynamic was going to change the episode, how people were going to respond to it, and as a result, it was just kind of interesting to see how things go. But outside of that, like the week's been fine, work's been busy, but you know, every day I get done, I jump on, do some Call of Duty, work on my camos, and just kind of like have a day of it. So how about you? How was your week?
Week's been good. Busy, of course, right? Like it was a 4-day work week because of the election day. That was a teacher work day. So like I worked on the day. So 5-day work week for me, but like 4 with students. Obviously I think the election, regardless of opinion, is a heavy heart type day, you know, because everyone's on pins and needles. And so it was nice to kind of delve into gaming and enjoy that. And knowing we had episode 250 kind of on the horizon was really exciting as well. And so really, really cool. Excited. You're right. We didn't do anything big for our milestone other than ping out on socials that we would love for people to stop by, say hello. I see the incredible coffee chick, who, by the way, is quite good at Call of Duty, far better than me at Black Ops 6, gifting 5 memberships right off the bat. Thank you, chick. We appreciate you. Of course, Rick Davis showcasing him being a member for 7 months over on the YouTube side. Happy 250 XEP. Thank you so much. Yeah, Logan, I thought we would spend the first bit kind of the show just reflecting on where XEP is, where it was, how it's been going. There's a lot to celebrate for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's wild to me that when I came on, you'd been going for a long time and you'd been kind of like handling it the way I've been handling like Keelhauled, just kind of solo, you know, making your own content and stuff like that. But when I came onto the show, you had like really big goals for the show. You had really big dreams. You wanted to take it live. You wanted to have like video. You wanted to start doing like more reviews and stuff like that. And I think that we've done a really good job of realizing that dream. I think a lot of people have helped out with the content in general. I think the community's been fantastic. We didn't even have like a Discord set up for the podcast. We didn't even have community episodes. So having things like that now, it seems almost weird that at one point that wasn't even like a thing that XEP had. So the fact that you've come this far in podcasting and created so much has really just been a testament to your dream and your goal and what you want for this podcast, and to actually see like what's going to happen in the future, and knowing that 250 episodes is in the bag now that we've got this one started off. I'm looking forward to seeing like how the next 250 evolve the content creation world for the actual podcast, because I can only imagine that the community will grow. We'll get more interesting access to people. You'll get bigger interviews. We'll have better reviews. Just going forward, I think it's going to be really awesome to see where this will actually end up going, because it's you know, the sky's the limit. There's nothing that's really preventing us outside of time to being able to like work through and do a whole lot for this podcast. So I'm really happy to see like 250 was something that I got to kind of jump into and see and stuff, and 200 as well too. It's just like every 50 episodes, it's another kind of year in the bag, and we get to just kind of celebrate like, hey, we are still persisting and we're still growing and we're still looking to actually like do more interesting things with the show as we go forward.
You're right. I mean, you nailed a lot of milestones, and it's been done with friends and with friendship and with frustration and celebrations and losses. And like, there's so many cool things that we've had the chance to do, to review, to cover, to not cover. Like, we've missed out on stuff, and it's really been a testament to the journey, I think. I will say, like, last week was cool because everybody was doing Extra Life, and half of what we took in for XEP supported the channel, the other half supported Extra Life, and like, we got to give donations to Save the Game Media and Xbox Era, and a friend of mine named Rachel Avery, the Mega Dads. Like, so many people were doing things, and the XEP community got to kind of dip their toe and be supportive of them also. Like, those things, as well as like every morning in the Discord, there's a good morning. How's everyone doing? It just feels good to have that. Everybody celebrates games. We cover Xbox. We enjoy Xbox, but like, everybody's helped me cover and talk about VR. We talk about the PlayStation 5 Pro, Death Stranding, and experiences in PC. And like, we're all gamers, and there's no hostility towards others. And you can see like our amazing community celebrating us still, like Clint Coombs, Ryukitsu from Spreading the Nerd. Happy 250, gents. Thanks for all the content and being an inspiration to myself, and I'm sure many others. Here's to 250 more. Thank you for the $5 super chat, my friend. Logan, you gifting 5 subs, much appreciated, my friend. I've got 5 to gift out in a bit as well. James Suddy with a $25 super chat. Thank you so much, man. $25 for 250. Love the show. Introduced me to some of my closest friends. Yeah, like, I'll talk about just being with Suddy and his friendship for years, and like the experience of gaming with him nightly while he's on dialysis, to getting the call that organs are ready, to the touch and go element of what's involved with that, and texting his wife. And we tease his wife about like, hey, what color socks are you wearing? And being all stupid and dumb. And like, then yesterday I wore the Fallout socks that the Suddys sent me, like, those are funny, silly things. And then getting to
vault issue, right? Like when you were in the vault, those were vault issued. Normal.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I was curious.
Watching Clint Coombs and Rick Davis start up Spread the Nerd and really do their show, and like, that's been fun. And Rick Davis gifting an XEP membership. Thank you, Rick. We appreciate you, man. And then Nissa, I said it right, being a member for 6 months on the YouTube side, and like, it's been really cool to celebrate with all these people. And I thought maybe we would talk about some of our favorite like wins from the channel, like some of the favorite projects you've done. I know you've done reviews. We've met and talked with a lot of creators. I'll say, like, I've got a list of interviews I wanted to shout out also, but like, tell me one of the things that you've really enjoyed from XEP, your time at XEP, either in coverage or whatnot.
Getting access to Starfield early was amazing for the being able to dive into that in Phantom Liberty right afterwards. Like, you being able to get access to showcase that content really did, like, it was an amazing opportunity for XEP to be able to speak on those topics, to be able to speak on that content. Same thing with Call of Duty. Like, I feel very, very particular about the different modes in Call of Duty now that I've put in a good amount of time. So at some point I definitely want to like give some feedback about like zombies and stuff, because I feel like zombies in multiplayer have really done a lot for COD. But dude, getting access to tell people about what is good, what is bad about Starfield, and having that experience, being able to showcase like how good CD Projekt Red has come back with the DLC for Phantom Liberty for Cyberpunk was amazing. But hands down, getting the Turtle Beach Stealth Ultra controller, first time I'd ever gotten hardware for review, and being able to like take the time, put in the due diligence, really go in and tweak a lot of what the settings are, and then build out that review was fantastic. It was really, really fun to really kind of like throw myself at the hardware and see like what can it do, how would people actually like this, what they would like about it, what they wouldn't like about it, things like that. And then going forward, looking forward to like having more opportunities to do that, because I think a lot of us tend to want to keep an eye out for peripherals, right? Many of us have like our standards, and being introduced to something new from time to time that would actually do something that maybe isn't what you're currently is doing, like that's always fun. Cowboy Logan is a great XEP memory as well.
Yeah. Clint being a member for 6 months saying Cowboy Logan, that's cool. Jam Pack Sam with a $5 super chat saying 20 years of XEP and 5 years of Halo 2. Or wait, flip that. Congrats, gents. Thank you so much, Sam. Very generous. And then Hargeet Chani with an incredibly generous,
Hargeet,
a $50 super chat. Hargeet, I think that's the highest super chat we've ever gotten. That's incredible, and I thank you, my friend. I thank you. Wow, much appreciated, man. It will go to good use in supporting the channel. So thank you, my friend.
One of my favorite memories was being able to come on early into me joining. And it was like right after the PS2 VR or the PSVR 2 launched, and just like having it nonchalantly on my head, and just going through the entire episode, not addressing the PSVR 2 at all. That was a fun moment. Really had a good time with that. Our coverage for the Xbox showcase, the live reacts and stuff, those are always fun. Like the times that we've gotten to do that, oh man, like some of the surprises and stuff, that just, I don't know, they're really special times to be able to share some moments with you, to be able to like talk about what we're seeing, what we're feeling, stuff like that. I feel like we're going to have another one of those hopefully in this coming year. We'll actually be able to both go and like shake hands and stuff like that. Like I don't think I have anything that's going to like prevent me from doing that this coming June. So I'm looking forward to being able to do that this year as well, or 2025.
Absolutely. Very, very much agree. Yeah, I will say, like, I have a lot of great memories and a lot of frustrating disappointments like in the 5 years, but they've all been incredible. And like Rick Davis. Yeah, no kidding. Rick Davis, saying like best moment XCP introducing me to some truly great friends. That has been the best part of it for sure, like bar none. And cover, I'm sorry, I double clicked where you hit. Go ahead. The opportunity to go to E3, not E3, right, to the Xbox showcase, to sit into Summer Game Fest and meet people that I'd never met before, like Harjeet, because I'd never met Harjeet in person, or even digitally. It'd been very impassing. And then to like develop a great friend and content creator, to sit next to the Iron Lords during SGF, and like Cog and I have a moment where we look over at each other for Batman Arkham Shadow and for Power Rangers Readers Rewind. We were like, yeah, this is for us, you know. That's been really fun. And then meeting Ainsley Bowden in person, somebody I'd worked with, you know, so often, was really cool.
Did he like pick you up to be able to see like eye level with you?
That's the funny thing is, I think he and I are similar in height. I think.
Really?
I did not feel, I like, in fact, seeing him in person, I was like, you're a lot smaller than I expected, which was funny. Like you have those moments. And then like Cog is like he's a truck, man.
Oh yeah, dude. Cog is in, like, I'm sure he walks sideways into doors, like into doorways. Like I do not, at any point, I do not doubt that man is just a huge piece of like awesome.
Yeah. Clint in chat saying Rick Davis and Silkenit are his new bros. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see like that friendship, and like they have a good friendship with Ellery Woods Parker III as well, which is incredible. I've loved meeting Ellery and getting to know them and their family, and like seeing that stuff, that those friendships bond, has been really cool.
If not for you, I wouldn't have been able to get onto other shows like the Nerd Chat and Project X Talk and stuff. I wouldn't have gotten to meet like Sam, Sam and Kevin, Chipotle Bear and Daddy Diwali and all them. Like so many of them, all completely like outside my purview until I got onto the show and then started to meet other content creators and stuff. It's been fantastic. to see that. And I want to go ahead. If you can vamp for a little bit, there's one thing that I do want to call out because it really meant a lot to me. This
Is it about Coffee Chick? Because I will say something on that one.
Jump on that. It's not, but go ahead.
So Coffee Chick saying best moment meeting Logan at Fest of Legends and in him introducing me to this community. Glad to call you all friends. That's kind of a testament to how powerful gaming can be and the communities can be, because in meeting each other, a relationship out of a dark time spawned, and then suddenly, like, you flash forward 6 months, 3 months, whatever it might have been, and I jump in to play Call of Duty with the boys, and then I hear, "Hey, Luke," and instantly I'm happier just by nature of hearing you, like hearing you be happier, and then we've got a new friend there, and it was cool to see that kind of stuff happen, and that's a testament to so many things. I met at E3 2019. I was there because of the Xbox Drive and Sean Capri show. We were very close at the time, and I got to meet King David in line for Battletoads. And from that moment, that spawned getting to meet other people, going on other shows, much the way you cited me. I was like Sean Capri and them helping me get into other places, and then developing friendships there. And the coolest part was, like, Sean and I had a falling out. That's one of the dark times, right? It didn't go well. And then from there, Logan started a new show in the direction that I wanted to have, different from his direction, both very successful. Building friendships with you, building people in joint communities, amazing. And then seeing, I got to go back to E3 last year and rekindle that friendship with David and meet those people. And like, those are just the cool successes that come from it. I'm going to swap the battery on my headset real quick while you talk. Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to call out Butch, for reaching out to me this year because, Butch lost his dog, and I know exactly how hard that is, but he reached out to me, originally during, my separation from my wife and my marriage. And that was a hard time for a lot of people to have to deal with, like losing something that is kind of that norm for you. So I've had to readjust my entire life in the last 6 months. And thankfully I found someone who's really like done a lot for me as far as like my own mental health and, being a great partner now with A-Chick, but being able to have, Butch come into my DMs out of the blue and just wanting to like check in on me from time to time. A lot of other folks has done it as well too, but you especially have always been like championing my mental health this last summer. Wouldn't have been a thing if not for XEP. Like I wouldn't have had that support structure. I wouldn't have had the friends in that circle to be able to reach out to and stuff. And thankfully I had backup with my Keelhauled community to be able to like be there and be supportive as well. But having multiple communities helped me kind of lighten a lot of the stress and depression and like confusion and uncertainty about how I was feeling, what I was doing, what was going on, like rebuilding myself up. Having that spread out amongst multiple people helped lighten that emotional load that I felt like I was having to put out there. So a lot of people took on a little bit of my pain and struggle and understanding and changing and growth that had it not been for multiple communities, especially this one, I probably would have had a lot harder time being able to get to a place where I was like happy in me again and being able to like focus on what I wanted. So just really, really appreciate Butch for that and everyone else in the XCP community that touched base with me from time to time just to check and make sure like, hey, everything cool? You doing all right? You got any problems you want to talk about? Things like that. Tell me about your day kind of thing. And that means a lot.
It's neat because it's so much more than video games, and there's so much vitriol and toxicity in the gaming community en masse, right? But it's always been I think a mantra of you and I think that's why we work so well together, that there's a lot to celebrate in gaming. And it doesn't need to be negative, and coming together and hanging out in, I mean, our patrons and channel members get access to our Discord, which is not expensive, but it is pay locked specifically so that trolls don't come in and
Hmm.
don't rain on our parade. So like it's pretty cheap to get in, but like nobody's paying to be rude. And so everybody's there to just celebrate one another. And that's been the best part. Like you're right, you went through a rough time. And my big thing about XEP is that games should be fun, not work. We should, what was it? Find the fun in all things, and we should celebrate one another. And it's supposed to be a community and support each other. And so dark times, happy times, sickness, tight, money's tight. People message me sometimes and they're like, "Hey, I can't do my Patreon this month." Okay, no problem. Please don't leave the Discord now, because now you're part of our community. We need you there. It's uplifting. And then watching the wins that our friends have been amazing as well. Like Save the Game Media raising money last week for Extra Life. So cool.
Yeah.
So cool. I want
Much
to
better this year, by the way, Kev. You guys did a much better job than last year. It felt like it was a lot more personal as well, too. So I was really enjoying the streams.
Yeah, they did do a great job. Shout out to Brendan Myers, $5 super chat. Seems like yesterday you were with Sean. Congrats on 250 and all your hard work. Thank you. And it does seem like yesterday in some ways. It also feels like a lifetime ago in other ways. And Edward with a $5 super chat. Congrats on 250 as well. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Logan, one of the interesting and neat things about the 5-year run that we've been on so far is I've had a chance to meet Phil Spencer at the very beginning, and then Aaron Greenberg and Sarah Bond and stuff through the most recently. But like Xbox itself has gone through some really interesting changes in the last 5 years since we've been covering the brand, as it were. And I thought maybe we could talk about some of our favorite and least favorite. Shout out to Nissa Hauer saying, "You guys helped me feel good this week when I felt like crap." Well, we love you, Nissa, and we appreciate you because you are also an integral part of our community, and we are grateful to you. So yeah, Logan, some of the big changes. I mean, we've seen a console fail in the Xbox One. We've seen the Series S and X launch, which brought its own. I thought acclaim started off strong, and then I think the pandemic, which we went through with all our gaming community, that really changed the face of gaming. Goodbye, Clint. We love you, man. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. We watched the pandemic kind of react in the gaming space for that, and then as we exit that, we watched, I think, 2 elections during the course of XEP, which is interesting and stressful for our American friends, and then the friends of our American friends, and not a real topic for me to be logical enough to talk about, but like that has an impact on gaming because you different companies have to work with different administrations, and then you watch the advent of cloud technology and Game Pass and so many other purchases and acquisitions. I think we saw obviously Activision Blizzard's the big one, but there were more. Hey, Outlaw, good to see you. So a lot of changes to Xbox in the last 5 years as well.
Yeah. It's been amazing watching the launch of the Xbox Series X and S. Because I think that was something that we were really curious, like how that was going to take off.
Mm-hmm.
I was very much like on board, or I guess I am still very much on board with the Series S. I think that the Xbox strategy of building out 2 SKUs, one that's a little bit less powerful, that opens it up to a budget market, is fantastic. I think that there are a lot of things that have changed from Xbox's perspective. They've done an amazing job kind of going through and really addressing like the community concerns. For the longest time during the Xbox One era, they kept talking about how Xbox has no games, and there weren't enough studios to really be able to pump out any content like that. And I think that they've done a fantastic job. Hey, Outlaw, how's it going? We got Gentlestone in here. Also, Baron, Jason coming in. Good to see you, Baron. It's been really amazing to see Xbox address a few things. One, they're staunchly supporting like the top end console market with their products. Like they want to make sure that they have the most powerful console like on the table. The design that they came out with was amazing, and they opened up with a budget Series S that was leaked in the most hilarious way. And the way Xbox responded with the awkward monkey look on Twitter will forever like stick in my mind as like one of those moments. It's like, oh, they wanted to talk about this at the right time. it got leaked, and now they're like, oh hey, yeah, by the way, you're right. There was another console all along. So I was always very impressed with how much Xbox has changed over the last bunch of years, and just to kind of see where they're going, it's clear to me that the gaming paradigm is shifting and changing. We're no longer looking at just exclusives per console. We're now looking at ecosystems as a whole, and where you want to have those ecosystems, and knowing that games online are going to be something that transcend what controller you're using and just happen to be on whatever account you own at the time. We also saw the Activision Blizzard acquisition, which was huge after they had already just spent a bunch of money picking up Bethesda and ZeniMax. So we've seen some changes within Xbox that have really stood out as like epochs for them. And if not for those, I think, Xbox probably would not be as strong as it is now. Even in third place, they are still one of the strongest publishers out there. And to see them get to that point in such a quick amount of time, in the short, time that we've been around doing like the podcasting space, it's like they've gone from nothing to something significant that you cannot ignore. And to the point where it draws ire from their competitors and concerns from logistics and government legislators. Yeah, it's wild to me that's something that Xbox is now considered in a time where most of us would have been like, oh well, Xbox 360 was the best, and they should have quit after that.
It's been interesting also to watch like how Game Pass has changed the gaming space, right? Like I have watched and listened to, oh, what are you popping there? What are we popping? Oh, no ASMR. It's muted. It sounds like you're muted. Oh, he's popping a zero sugar monster there. He's prestige 2 and COD, everybody. Definitely no XEP boosts or XP boost. Side note, for all our channel members, we did drop new emotes in. We've got a VR Cartman for people when I talk about VR. We got a nice little Indiana Jones to celebrate the upcoming Indy, a classic Xbox symbol, and of course, 250 in there as well. So if you're a channel member, make use of those. I forget what I was going to say. Oh, Game Pass. It's really neat to see how Game Pass is changing, and the business models of other places are changing for better, for worse, for debatable reasons.
Oh yeah.
But like when you acquire Activision Blizzard, that gets the news. When you acquire Bethesda, that gets the news. But then to see Starfield launch into Game Pass, that's a big deal. Doesn't matter what you think of the game. That's the next Skyrim, right?
Yeah.
Or at least, on paper it is. Then you see Redfall completely disappoint. Does Game Pass mitigate that? It just launched a year late. I firmly believe that. And then
after it was delayed a year.
Should have been a year later. It should have been another one. Early access, like make use of that program. Xbox Play Anywhere. And then there were years where no first-party Xbox games came out. Quite amusingly, same thing's happening with PlayStation. It's an ebb and flow of an industry, and that Xbox is still around after what I would argue was a disappointing Xbox One generation, despite my love for it, is really cool. They've made the moves to last, and that's really cool.
Yeah. I've been very impressed with, and I think that's why I've wanted to stick around in the Xbox ecosystem for so long, is because they've shown that they are trying to be as consumer like friendly with Game Pass as possible. Offering a subscription service to gain access to day one games from their first party studios is massive. If I had something like that for Nintendo, oh yeah, I'd 100% spend more money on Nintendo Switch Online if it gave me access to like first party games day one. Like there's no doubt about that. Like I would 100% spend $15-$20 on that a month just to be able to have those, because those games are just worth it. But seeing the rise and fall of games that Xbox has put out over the last bunch of years, they've made some really interesting missteps as well too. Like we've seen some really, really poor marketing from them, from having a game of the year contender in Hi-Fi Rush to shutting down Tango Gameworks. It's like there's been choices that have been made under Microsoft Xbox's like header that make you wonder, like, why are they making these kind of choices? But at the end of the day, I would I would venture to say that regardless of the missteps that they've made, regardless of the issues that they've had, they've put out some really great content on a regular cadence for a system that has sustained really well given the hardware, and offered experiences on two different SKUs that people can buy in at the low end or at the high end and still get a great gaming experience. And whether or not developers feel like that is something that is like warranted is, you know, that's for them to decide, but the gamers are going to be where they are. And we've seen some really interesting splits between those SKUs. And I think Xbox is hopefully going to do something like that in the future, because I think it's just a boon given the handheld market like burst or like growth in gaming as like a staple now. Like handhelds are just a thing now. It's no longer the Game Boy and the Game Boy Gear, and it's no longer the Nintendo DS and the PS Vita. It is like everyone has a handheld, and that's a really crazy thing to think nowadays.
It's cool to me how many places there are to access Xbox, right?
Yeah.
Like, it is odd to me. Like, I want Xbox exclusives because I want Xbox to be successful, but maybe successful is being available. I can play Xbox on my phone. I can play it on my VR headset. I can play it on my PC. I can play it via cloud on multiple screens, tablets, and the like. I can play it on my Xbox. I can play it in a browser. I can play it on my new Samsung TVs if that's the route I choose to go there. And
VR?
Then, yeah, I said VR at the very beginning, and then and then you can play Xbox games now on PlayStation. You can play them in on other console manufacturers, and like in many ways that disrupts what I want and expect. In other ways, how dope. Like, why wouldn't you want Sea of Thieves that's capped? Like, Sea of Thieves had maxed out its market on Xbox. I think like it had run its course. People that were going to jump in en masse had jumped in, right? Like, you had the big Pirates of the Caribbean expansion that brought in a lot and such, but at a certain point, you're not going to open up to more gamers unless you go to more places. And so I think these are choices designed and made to survive. And so what will happen, in 2025, where that handheld is expected, right? What does that even mean? Do you truly need one in a world where there's a ROG Ally? And I don't know the answer. I'm not advocating or not advocating. I'm just saying it's cool to see how much the brand has changed.
I had a really interesting thought, or at least I think it's interesting. It's in my head, so I guess I think it's interesting. But I wanted to pose a question to you, because you bring up a really interesting perspective, is that the Microsoft games are going other places because they couldn't saturate the market any further on their own hardware and their own ecosystem. Do you think that if Microsoft had further success and had actually like taken the lead on a lot of the like just the contesting PlayStation 5, if they had sold more hardware and had more reach, do you think that they'd be going out to other ecosystems now, or do you think that that was always in the plan? Because it seems to me like if you saturate your market with the hardware that you have accessible to you, then there's a failing either on the content itself or the reach or how many units of hardware you've sold. So does more consoles sold equal more exclusives?
Yes, I think it does. I think if the roles were reversed, Xbox would still be trying to find certain games to be in other places. Diablo, Call of Duty, maybe something small like, oh my gosh, Pentiment. But do you see the proposition or the possibility of a Hi-Fi Rush or the next Halo or the discussions of those things show up in your same conversations? I'm not sure you do, right? Like, I sincerely hope that Halo Infinite is on Switch too. Not because I don't want Halo and to be successful and Xbox and Halo to be synonymous, but because I want Halo to survive, and Infinite didn't land the way they intended. Abdel, good to see you. Happy Call Gamer, good to see you as well, my friends. Matt Valdez in the chat. Good to see you, Matt. I have missed you, my friend. It was so good to see you last week. Like, I think if you have more Xboxes sold, there is less need to expand into other places, or perhaps it does a little bit more slowly. But I still think that's the direction of the industry. We talked, I think it was on our community episode, but maybe it was XEP proper last week when we were celebrating my love for VR, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's some
It was a
great
community
VR
episode.
games. It was a community episode. Okay, so in brief, there's a lot of great VR games that are stuck on an ecosystem, specifically PSVR 2, which is great hardware. People are very respectful of what they did there, but PlayStation's not supporting it. Could that Horizon game that is so good be more successful if it was on Oculus, if it was on PC VR, if it was, in more places? Maybe it is on PC VR. My point being, when you have a game that is not successful despite being very high quality, should it be in more places? And to loop back to Sea of Thieves, I'm glad that's on PlayStation. Sea of Thieves is dope. You could even argue too little, too late, right?
Yeah.
Was Sea of Thieves selling Xboxes? I don't think so. But I freaking love it. 900 hours in the game, and I'm not an enthusiast of Sea of Thieves the way that many of the Sea of Thieves community would say they are. So there's that. Mr. Lohr, don't play Gorilla Tag, please. Hi, Can of Beans. Good to see you, buddy. That's one of my school buddies. Good to see him. So yeah, it's the going to other platforms element, and Happy Cloud Gamer using xCloud so much. I think it's a good thing. Maybe I didn't say that 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
No,
but
you did. I
Did
want
I?
to stand that you have been a staunch supporter of that kind of mentality, like having things going to cloud, having access to it, because you've always said like kids are on tablets, kids are on touch screens and stuff. That's where the younger generation is, and that's where Xbox needs to be. So you've always been very staunch about that.
Yeah. Well, I do firmly believe more people playing games is a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Sending out 5 XCP memberships now to the chat. Thank you guys for being so supportive. I just greatly appreciate you. Thank you for helping us celebrate 5 years and 250 episodes. We appreciate you. Logan, one of the things I want to talk about briefly while we're celebrating is some of the incredible guests that we've had come on via interviews. And I have I have a full list linked in our notes. If you want to take a look, you're welcome to. I don't think I've updated it in a few months actually. But names like Mike Chapman and from Sea of Thieves, Cliff Blazinski from Gears of War fame, of course, getting to have people like Sissy Jones, a voice actor, on. She was in Firewatch. She was in Darksiders 3 and every other game that you can think of. I had Paul Bettner on when he celebrated Super Lucky's Tale coming to console. But Paul Bettner is also the designer of Words with Friends. Remember that phenomenon?
Which I love that game.
God. Yeah. David Bateson, the Hitman, on. The voice from Halo was in there. Lauren Lanning came on. Like, we've had Adam Brennicky from Grounded fame. We had some of these people on before they hit it big. And it's been really cool. And I still have goals, and I hope people will reach out to Xbox on socials and let them know that we'd love to have them on also. But like, I would love for Aaron Greenberg or Sarah Bond or Phil Spencer to come on the show at some point. Because I get giddy when I see them respond to a post or click like or even follow. Like, Aaron's kind enough to follow me on socials. Like, that's cool. And I'm just really happy with that. I don't know if you have any favorite interviews that stand out to you.
Erica Lindbeck is the one that I will constantly go back to and just say, like, being able to interview Daki from Demon Slayer, who was she was awesome. It was really amazing to get to sit down and chat with her. Really interesting to get to hear her perspective on a lot of like VO work in general, and just like with gaming. It's amazing to me that that the publishers and the studios and stuff always seem to send out like the huge collector's editions to the VO actors as like a thank you, even though most of them probably aren't gamer because they're busy with their careers. So to see like in her background, like the shelves of like collector's editions and stuff that she had was fantastic. But most of the ones that you'd called out were actually my favorites as well too. I think that the especially like the Cliff Blazinski one was insightful in a way that I hadn't anticipated going into it. Sissy Jones was again Andreja from Starfield. Amazing to get to talk to her and actually meet her at a comic or at an anime convention not long after that interview, and to actually like go up to her and be like, hi, you talked to my friend and I really like your stuff. And I think you're a great voice actress and stuff. And then we had a whole conversation about like voiceover and AI and stuff, and how she's like championing like AI not replacing voice actors in gaming as well as media and stuff. So because of XEP, I had that little in with her to be able to have like a little bit further of a conversation that I was like, oh, it's really cool to, you know, be able to have that opportunity and know like, hey, you know, because of your interview and talking with her about like just Firewatch and others in, oh gosh, I can't think of the name of the game, but it's a first person where she goes to find her husband on an island after he's disappeared and she has a weird disease. It's like Sea of something.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking
I can't
about.
think of what that's called, but that's
I know I'm blanking to Call of the Sea.
Call of the Sea, yeah. It's like it's like a Firewatch game, but she's the lead in this one. And shout out, I think there's I think she even teased that there's a sequel to that coming in the future. That she's working with the studio on that, so I'm looking forward to a sequel to that one. But yeah, it's been really interesting to just see like who all you've had on and there's the discussions that you've had with them, especially studios that you've had interviews with that at the time their game or like what they were doing wasn't really big. Like we had like information about what they were working on and stuff like that. And then something happens and they blow up and you're like, oh, you remember when Luke interviewed them like a year and a half ago and nobody was paying attention to them, but now everyone seems to want to get them on the horn, and Luke has like direct access because he did actually recognize the greatness that was in them a long time ago. Yeah. Go back to that interview and listen to that.
Yeah, it's always fun. And it is interesting, like who's willing to give their time, you know, like who's willing to be a big star, willing to come on, who's a small content maker, game creator, whatnot, willing to give their time, and the different PR workings that go on with it. Like trying to have on some people from some studios is an absolute nightmare. I've been working on one interview that you know about for like a month and a half. When I tried to get Seamus Blackley on the show, it took a year. You know, some of them take forever. Others, like I'll message them and then a day later, like when Cliff came on the second time, right after Gears of War E-Day, like I got off the plane, messaged him. I was like, hey, you want to jump on? And he's like, yeah. And so there it was, you know, like little stuff like that. And then Rick Davis calling out the Abu Bakr Salim interview. Yeah, Tales of Kenzera Zal is a great video game, and it stinks that game didn't hit with more people, and it is a bummer, but I really do enjoy having people on the show, you know, whether it's Xbox exclusive or otherwise. Like I got to interview people that have made games that I absolutely love, you know, like like the TMNT people. Yannick Belzio from working on Shredder's Revenge twice came on. Stephen Frost from Digital Eclipse came on multiple times. He's going to come on again, but he talked about Cowabunga Collection and Atari. He's going to talk about Rita's Rewind. Like it's just neat to have so many wonderful people on the show. You know, Assam Abdarius worked on Gotham Knights. Well, you know, I love Batman. Like that's really cool. And so, yeah, it's Batman? Been fun. Yeah. Fun fact. I was playing Arkham Shadow this morning. Too. Can of Bean says, with VR play, Bone Lab, you will enjoy it. I will look into it, buddy. I will look into it. Nissa Hauer saying that they have found a lot of the channels they love because of Bitcast, and then Bitcast because of Ian Runkle. And it's funny how that happens too, right? Yeah. Like I found a lot of people. I found Khalif Adams, who I absolutely adore. I found his content through, I want to say years ago, Kind of Funny, right? Like getting to see him, and like I love Spawn on Me and Khalif Adams' work. Like that is fantastic. Yeah. Abdel asking for the link to the E-Day interview. Give me a second, buddy. I'll drop it in chat. Yeah, it's in there. So like there's just been a lot of big successes, and I just wanted to celebrate and thank everybody that's been willing to donate their time and energy to supporting XEP, whether it was liking, subscribing. I know some of you are very kind with your financial donations. Those are always appreciated, never expected. It's just very appreciated in every way to see people here and liking and sharing on socials and such. So thank you guys. So let's see if this was the correct link. I'm pulling that one up. Logan, would you mind jumping down in our notes to it's a Game Pass impact. It's a Windows Central article about the Black Ops 6 director discussing how Game Pass impacted Black Ops 6. I think that's an interesting topic for us to talk about.
I am looking for that.
Oh, and shout out to the Dead by Daylight community, which found me through the Matt Cote interview. They seem to be really enjoying that also.
New person. You want to call out the new like, I can't ever think of the hunter person that's coming out.
Oh, I think it's the Houndmaster. Yeah, Dead by Daylight getting a new killer, which is a big deal. It's an original killer, not a licensed one, and it looks really cool. It's interesting. It's neat because the phrase that was used by a content creator of color was celebrating it, that it's a thick black woman being badass in a video game. Those were the words that they used, and I wish I remember who it was. She was just so happy to see herself or someone that looked like her represented in a video game, and I thought that was awesome. It's live on the playtest server. They've got 2v8 coming to DBD soon. It's always cool seeing communities get content that they want, like when the Destiny community, the Sea of Thieves community, like these are niche communities and there's overlap, but it's a quiet overlap, right?
Yeah.
But seeing them celebrate there, and I'm very excited because I just adore this game. I fell in love with it because of Spooky Season. When we talked about it months ago, you said Dead by Daylight's getting Castlevania stuff. Well, now I'm like multiple tomes deep, and I have all the versions of Dracula unlocked. I love playing as Michael Myers. Like, it's just fun. And so seeing that stuff is awesome. Can of Beans saying he's going to play DBD also. Daddy D Wally in the house. Congrats on 250. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate you. Let's see. Rick Davis says that might actually make a good STN, spreading the nerd topic in the slower week, explaining the podcast path. Absolutely. It's always fun to hear people's journeys. For sure. Soken said he found Hogue because of Bitcast, XEP Trophy Room because of Cast Co-op. Yeah, that's the coolest stuff, man. I haven't seen Joe roll through here. He's a hater. I've always disliked him.
Look, he had some things going on this morning that I'm sure he wanted to work on. He's been doing a lot of work on his body. He's been trying to like get out there and exercise. So I'm sure he's probably got like full.
Oh, did he go to the gym? Never mind. Good for him.
Went to the gym. I'm trying to make excuses for him because he's doing a good job with his experience, with his journey.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of weight so far and doing great. I'm really proud of him.
Yeah, it's gonna ruin his career though.
All right, did you have a chance to pull up the Black Ops 6 notes? Because I thought that was neat.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's funny that you called out that one because I saw the same information but from a different site. So I was like, "What is this about that's new?" And I was like, "Oh no." I'm good. But yeah, dude, the Call of Duty being like one of the number one launches for Call of Duty for a long time is, I mean, I'm kind of expected it. I think that them taking the extra year for development was instrumental in making sure that this Call of Duty was good, because everyone that I've seen, everyone that I've talked to has really loved the campaign. But seeing that they had an interview through the BBC over in England, they said that it was effectively, we've seen that Game Pass has allowed more people that might have been on the fence play the game and remove some of that friction, because they haven't played like Call of Duty in a while. And usually with Call of Duty, they've always got that $60-$70 price tag. And then if you want to get the cross-gen version that will allow you to be able to play it in multiple places, then you have to bump it up. And then they've got like their Vault Edition for the $100, which gives you like the season pass, the COD points, and a bunch of skins and stuff like that. So it's been amazing to talk to people within my community as well, too, the Keelhauled community, a bunch of pirates saying like, "Oh man, I've been really enjoying Call of Duty," and seeing the success that Game Pass can have. And I can say like, hey, when when we were getting closer and closer to that launch, I was seeing a ton of advertising for Black Ops, like a ton of advertising. I've been jumping in, getting Monster Energy drinks from time to time to get the XP bonuses. I've been ordering Little Caesars to get the XP bonuses and the cosmetics and stuff. I'm not saying those are positive choices towards my health. I'm saying that it's helping me prestige faster so I can get to that level 4 Nuketown skin. That's what I want. That's where I'm going for that. But to see them talk about how Game Pass has brought in record numbers of subscribers and gamers to Black Ops, to me says, as long as the game is going to be something that is good and has had time to be worked on, people will jump in through Game Pass and it will help justify day one games remaining in Game Pass Ultimate. And that's something that I'm really grateful for, because I think that it's really nice to see a lot of folks that have lapsed on Call of Duty coming back, jumping in, really enjoying the campaign. There's missions in there that feel like a Mission Impossible movie, man. It's amazing to me to just sit there and be like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, this is such a good showcase for like just content in general. And then getting in and playing multiplayer, trying to work out zombies, waiting for the season 1 launch so that we can get some more maps in, so we can get some more skins to start working through the battle pass, to find out that the battle pass for Modern Warfare 3 was still earning tokens, even though I was playing Black Ops 6, to be able to log in after a couple of weeks and be like, oh, I've got all of my battle pass already locked in now, because by the time I was 50% complete, and we were like getting into Black Ops 6, I was like, I had to write it off. I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this done. And that sucks because I really wanted some of the spooky content. And then someone on Twitter was like, hey, by the way, you should probably jump over to Modern Warfare 3 because you probably got a bank of tokens sitting there waiting for you to go through the battle pass for. And I was like, sure enough, yeah, 33 tokens. It was wild that I could finish off the battle pass. So they've done a lot of stuff where I'm like, they should have brought over the skins. But then they've also done a lot of stuff like, oh, hey, don't worry, your battle pass is still pretty good.
Right. I know, I agree. And the more and more I'm thinking they should have brought over some of the skins. You know what I mean? Like some of them, the recent ones, like Myers and a few of the recent ones really should have. I lean towards enjoying Modern Warfare 3 more. In fact, I'm very confident that I like Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer far more than Black Ops. But I've always preferred Modern Warfare over Black Ops. And I don't know why. Like, if you were to say, what is it? Is it the time to kill? Is it this? Is that? I don't know. I truly don't know. But there's something about it that I much prefer. That said, they're both available. They're both in Game Pass. You can enjoy both. And the mutual benefit that you get via Warzone is really nice to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And shout out to Xbox for putting them on cloud as well, too, because that's what helped me this last weekend was knowing that even though I was having issues signing into Xbox through Windows Store on a PC on HX PC, like there was a lot of friction there. And eventually I was like, screw it. I'm opening up a browser and I'm enabling like my account on the browser, and mouse and keyboard worked through the browser to be able to play Call of Duty. Like, it was wild that I was streaming the version of the game from an Xbox on an xCloud server onto a browser using mouse and keyboard. Like, I was not expecting that. So it was really fantastic. But yeah, there's definitely some things about Call of Duty that I think need to get tweaked. And I think a lot of that is in the zombies mode, because I think that the zombies mode, while it's really fun, all of the story is kind of hidden away, and they don't really like the dialogue that they give you to give you hints on what to do next is all during rounds when you have like guns going off, people running around, people shouting out, I need help, zombies coming after you. There's too much chaos to be able to like narrow in on the audio teasers that the dialogue is giving you, that the characters are giving you, to be able to figure out like what to do next. So they've got to do something to make that a little bit more streamlined. In my opinion, I think the Easter egg hunt is fine, but don't make the story an Easter egg hunt as well. There's also like a strong like hit where the way that they've developed their progression system is just a little too grindy in my mind for me to feel like I'm really happy with constantly having to like die or exfil at a certain point, and it's going to take a lot of work to be able to work up the augments to be able to do that. The gobble gum system is kind of weird, and I'm not sure that I really like that either, but that's going to be their monetization thing. So there's lots of things with Call of Duty that I think I would like to see tweaked in the future. But overall, I'm having a hell of a time with it. I couldn't tell you how many hours I've really put into Blops because Xbox just lumps it in with Modern Warfare 3. But I would say that there's a good chance that I've probably been playing about 3 to 6 hours almost every single day since launch. And
well, I see Nerd Chat in chat, and I also see X Bacon Gaming, people I love tremendously. Chipotle Bear had written in and said, "We know Little Caesars isn't your jam, but with Black Ops Season 1 around the corner, do you have any dream brand partnerships or the like?" And then I think also, Logan, how do I put this? The amount of fun that you're having in Black Ops worth the buy if someone's not on Game Pass?
If you're not on Game Pass and you like Call of Duty, I would definitely recommend Call of Duty Black Ops 6. The campaign alone is fantastic. It's really fun to play through. I've really enjoyed the missions. The characters are interesting. The setting is fun. You don't need to go back and play Call of Duty Cold War to understand who the characters are. You can what's it called? Infer like the relationships based on the dialogue well enough, because I hadn't played through Cold War, so I have no clue who some of the like Adler is. Like I have no clue who that is, but I can guess based on the contextual clues that they've put into the script for the campaign, like what's going on there. So I don't necessarily need to know all the details. It's fun if you do, but you can jump into the campaign not having played Cold War and still really get a good experience out of it. And the experience is fantastic. It feels like a 1980s Mission Impossible movie. It's great. So I've really been loving that. The multiplayer is great. There's like maybe 3 maps that I don't like out of the pool, and you can always kind of vote on getting out of those. The zombies mode, the wave-based stuff is different than the Modern Warfare version of zombies, which I don't like. I actually prefer the open world aspect of it.
As do I, but I think the round-based stuff is more approachable for newcomers. But I do much prefer the open world element. And I would have loved to see something similar to Blackout, where you're in Warzone effectively, but zombies show up.
Yeah.
I liked that because it turned down camping. Like you couldn't just camp, despite that being my play style. No apologies. Just it was on my mind.
Yeah. I think last year when we were playing through Warzone in Modern Warfare 3, there was a mode that was like a zombies mode during Halloween. And that was really fun because we were constantly like having to move, having to deal with stuff. There was gunfire everywhere, and it was always kind of lighting up the map to let us know like where teams were, because they had to deal with the zombies. And that was a really interesting approach to Warzone that I would love to just see like a permanent mode in there. Honestly, it would be fantastic. The approachability of the round based zombies I push back on, because I feel like the flow of the Modern Warfare version of zombies is a little bit more open in design. There's 3 tiers. There's Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3. You push in deeper, the more comfortable you get with that game. And that is not the case with round-based zombies. You start out low, not really knowing what's going on. They don't do a very good job of letting you know, like, hey, you should probably change your loadout so you're not going in with a pistol.
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know how many times I went in with a pistol thinking like, oh, well, this is what I have to start out with.
Mm-hmm.
And this is someone who's played a lot of zombies in Modern Warfare 3, and I
Mm-hmm.
still missed out on that. Having to try and find like the rarity upgrades as well as like the ammo stuff, and just like finding out like, a pack a punch. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I know where to go get my pack a punch. I didn't know where to go to get my rarity upgrades to get up to like epic and legendary level to be able to have like the larger clips and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot that is familiar to me in zombies, but because I never really got into the level based zombies back in, gosh, what was that? Blops 4?
Mm-hmm.
Like I never understood what the heck I was supposed to do. And because of that, it made it harder for me to go into round-based zombies this time after I'd already been spending hours upon hours in Modern Warfare zombies. So I think that there's a lot of a learning curve with the round-based zombies that
Mm-hmm.
they could have done a better job of navigating in this one. But I do think that this zombies is a lot more fervent. It's very exciting because
Mm-hmm.
you're constantly dealing with stuff and it's constantly getting hectic. And if you stop moving for any amount of time,
Yeah.
you're gonna get knocked.
Yep. You are.
And the punishment for dying in between rounds is maybe a little bit too high, because I
Yeah.
think you're always on the back foot after that.
Agreed. I'm of the same mind, but I was down all the time when we played. So
Yeah.
that's for sure.
But I mean, I think that's the learning curve that I think is frustrating, because if you had a little bit more like, hey, go use your salvage to go increase your rarity for your weapon so you can do more damage and have a larger clip, that would be something that would help out as well too.
Right.
But yeah, I think they've done a great job with Black Ops 6. I'm looking forward to seeing like what the next Call of Duty is, but I'm also 100% fine waiting a couple of years before we get the next one, so that whatever they're cooking up in the campaign is just as good as this one.
Yeah. No, I'm sincerely hoping they adjust the cadence of how they release stuff, because I want the same level quality. And it was nice to see Game Pass get that win for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Logan, let's transition to a few of our smaller topics for this week. First up, I can't seem to exit this window.
How could you?
There we go. This was interesting. Of course, I think big news that Kojima Productions, they own all their stuff now, and 5 years and a day away from the first launch of Death Stranding launched and shadow dropped onto Xbox. I thought this was interesting. It's on sale right now. It's like only $20 if you're interested. But instantly, for some reason, I immediately felt like, Kojima's always been the best. He's never been better. I love him. I hated him before, but now,
Really?
he's great. No, I'm just kidding. I've always loved Metal Gear. I think it was cool to see Death Stranding finally available. Cool all around. I'm not planning on picking this one up, at least not for the time being. I have too much else that I want to play. But for it to be shadow dropped out there was neat and exciting. Are you planning to play Death Stranding?
I own Death Stranding in 2 places. I have still not played it. I bought it for the PS4 when it was like $20 on a sale, and then I got it through Epic Games because they just gave it away, because Epic Games just consistently gives games away as opposed to selling them. So I have Death Stranding now. I'm glad that it is on Xbox, and I'm glad that Kojima dropped the price to $20. It says to me, and it's the director's cut as well too, which is the joke about the PlayStation version being the director's cut when the director was the one that made the game and was like you're gonna go tell Kojima he needs to put out a director's cut and not think that man has like been very, very adamant about making sure that the game launches exactly what he wants, and that there's something that someone higher up said, no, Kojima, you can't put that in your game. That has to be for the director's cut later.
Yeah.
It was kind of ridiculous because the content was very much like no, this is something that was like mandated to him. And he's like, all right, I'll put like a motorbike in there or something, like I'll add a couple little things if you really want to. But the director's cut was the one that I launched.
Yeah. No, I'm right with you. I I see Happy Cloud Gamer's question in chat, and then Daddy D Wally, if you want to join up, I can send you one. Happy Cloud Gamer says, can we expect Black Ops or the next COD to be Black Ops 7 as opposed to like Modern Warfare or Infinite Warfare or something like that, given the success of Black Ops 6? What do you think about that?
I would love to see a Black Ops 7 because I think giving them another opportunity to wow us with more Black Ops story would be great. Omni movement's really interesting. It's something that I think has really changed multiplayer. There's been so many times where a dead body has shot me in the face, and I've been very mad about that. So I'm getting used to the not guys prone on their stomach, like just rotating. I'm now having to like pay attention. I'm actually like two tapping bodies now when there's too many bodies on the map, and the number of times I've shot someone who's already dead just to be like, are you actually dead, or are you just laying there playing possum? Because I don't trust you.
Right. Right. No, it's happened a lot. Right. Yes. Like it happens a lot. I've been adjusting to that for sure.
It's a mental shift. But I like that there's that growth with the game. Like, dude, it feels like, you could totally like just lay there and, play dead and just assume people aren't really paying attention. You throw a silencer with cold blood and ninja. No, not ninja. What's the other one, guys? Help me out. What's that perk? It's not cold blooded. It's the ghost. Thank you. Ghost cold blooded with a silencer, and you just lay around and just like, and people hate it too. They freaking hate. You're in the middle of the map and you're just laying on the ground and you're just like tapping people in hardcore on Nuketown. They're just like, hate you so much. I hate you. That's what it's like.
Not as good as Shipment by any means. Just want to go out on record there.
No, but Babylon is a pretty good Shipment. I like a little bit bigger of a Shipment with Babylon. And having like a little, like Suddy was like hiding out in the nooks and crannies last night when we were playing. Definitely some good maps, definitely some bad maps. We can all agree Red Card, a bad map. Rewind, it's not the greatest map out there. Nuketown, not nearly as fun as I was hoping it would be. Shout out to Ains for coming in out of nowhere with the $10 super chat. Congrats on 250. It took a while, but I'm glad we finally all agree that Joe sucks.
We do agree.
Amen,
we do agree on that one, no doubt about it. Thank you, Ains. I appreciate you, buddy. But loop it back to Kojima for a minute.
Yes, I am. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just think it's neat that it happened. It proves proof positive that it's always been a timed exclusive, which is interesting. It makes you have hope for some of the other things like Final Fantasy and the like. I'm curious to see like what do we think is going to happen with a lot of the exclusivity deals. Are they going to be this long? Are they going to be shorter? Are we going to find out about them ahead of time? I don't think we'll ever find out ahead of time on some of these. But I am glad that it seems more and more exclusives are on the wane. Despite, again, to go back to, it is odd, right? To not want exclusives in these platforms. But if it's a third-party game, I do not want it to be exclusive.
Yeah, and I think that now that Jim Ryan's out of the picture, we're running into less of this idea that exclusives have to be something that is persistent for multiple years. Seeing Kojima come in shadow drop after the exclusivity deal drops on Xbox, and seeing everyone just being like, it's only $20. Yes, I will go play the USPS simulator, right. and I will most definitely watch Norman Reedus have really weird patchy facial hair. That's 100% fine with me. Yes, let's jump into weird. I think it's great to actually see that. I think it's fantastic that it's something I'm hoping Square will wake up and actually like pay attention to, because it's like, hey, Square, your game's not doing so well, not quite meeting expectations. Maybe another ecosystem would help out with that. Just saying.
You mentioned weird. I took it on the chin over on Threads the last 2 days, which is where I've been doing more of my posting in general.
It's all about Blue Sky, man. It's all about Blue Sky. What are you doing?
I'm a Threads guy. Let me die on that hill as if it somehow is better. But I will say I'm enjoying Threads. But I took it on the chin. You're talking about weird and Kojima. I recently finished Alan Wake 2's The Lake House.
Oh yeah,
Enjoyed it. Enjoyed it. It was fun. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't all that great. It was dope seeing Janina Gavankar on there, and I really love her.
I'm sorry.
Janina
Say that again?
Gavankar, she's an actress
No, you just
who
say that too easily. That is just, it's just like right out of your mouth. Like that was no trouble at all. I always struggle with her name. So
Oh, really?
kudos to kudos to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
You just
Humble
impressed me. I
brag.
was just like, what the dang.
She's one of the people I'd love to interview as well, particularly because of her role in Battlefront 2, which really did end up quite good, and I liked that campaign. But I say that because the game reminded me yet again how good Alan Wake 2 is mechanically, with audio design, with animations and everything else. But we got news this past week that it finally broke even. Admittedly, it was on Epic Games, and that hindered it, but also Epic allowed the game to be made in general. That said, in seeing the game finally break even, and then watching The Lake House, which is the final DLC, I can't help but think that if they had turned down the weird and just toned it down a little bit, been a little more traditional Resident Evil-esque, they would be far more financially successful. And many people on threads were like, no, you're dumb, because weird is what makes them special. Agreed, right? Like, I'm not saying that it's not. I love Remedy for that. But if they were a bit more approachable in premise and story, I wonder if they'd have Resident Evil style success, because their gameplay matches RE4 on its best day, I think. So that was the question that I was kind of, or the topic that I was putting out there.
Yeah. I don't know that I necessarily agree with you, and I want to point to Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden as a parallel to a story-based game that deals with like kind of weird, kind of supernatural things happening in it. Different games, obviously, one very much rooted in its own story with with like kind of weird outspurts of moments where you're like, is this a video game? This doesn't feel like a video game. It feels like multimedia.
Dan, I did send you a link, by the way, on Discord, buddy. If you did want to chat, you just can't use the Joker voice. But Dan saying that he agrees. Don't. Yeah. If Lake House was less Kojima-esque, Alan Wake 2 less Kojima-esque, it would have been much better. I halfway agree. I mean, I agree. So, I do agree. But I appreciate that weird is special for Alan Wake.
What? Yeah. Sorry. Before I had my coughing fit, I wanted to kind of address like Ghost of New Eden is a very or Banisher's Ghost of New Eden is a very much a more standard like boilerplate style game where you just play through it. You just have the story. It's a really good story. It's a really good game mechanic, and it's really fun. It struggles with the actual stability of the game towards the end of it, but with Alan Wake being as weird as it is, it gets a lot more attention because of that. And yeah, it is definitely kind of odd, but it's because of the odd that we know the name. Whereas most people who would want something that's more traditional, like Ghosts of New Eden and that kind of like same kind of spooky genre where you're just playing a game is very much something that is just like kind of going under the radar. Mm-hmm. And I think that, if maybe Banishers had a little bit more weird in it, people would be talking about it more. But if people had a little bit less weird in Alan Wake, it'd be a little more approachable.
Mm-hmm. I think, Banishers is a game that I really did. Not Banishers. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Unknown 9. I'm sorry. The whole time you were saying Banishers, I was thinking Unknown 9.
Oh my God.
Which is always frustrating. But they have similar premises, ghosts and taking people over and stuff. But you're right. Yeah, no. I'm looping back and replaying your words in my head, and it makes more sense because I was like, wait, Unknown 9's not like. I'm with you now. I got you. Mm-hmm. Let's see other stuff that I thought was interesting from this week, because it was a quiet-esque week apart from the shadow drop here.
Ooh, I got one for you when you're done.
Okay. One of the ones that stood out to me was Warner Brothers Discovery's gaming division substantially underperforming. Their CEO said that in multiple aspects. We kind of knew that because of Suicide Squad. We knew that for a lot of reasons, but Multiverses isn't working out the way they would want it to. They had another loss recently as well. But when I see that the quality of Arkham Shadow, the fact that it's moving Quest 3S units, and people are diving into an entire ecosystem as a result of their game, It does make me hopeful that Arkham makes a return because, as you know, and everybody here knows, that Arkham is extremely special to me in my gaming history. So I'm all for them getting back on track. I wonder what's going to happen with I wonder what's going to happen with the Wonder Woman game, if that's ever going to come out. Talk about announcing a game too early. Wolverine also announced too early. But for Warner Brothers Discovery, Hogwarts was the success, despite them worried about the social impacts of it. The game was huge. Suicide Squad, a total disaster, despite them thinking a live service game would be the win. It just makes me hopeful that Warner Brothers gets back on track because they have so many great IP to make use of, and chasing trends is not when they are at their best. Stick with what works. Allow yourself room to create here and there, but stick with what works, I think, is the right way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a shame that so many of their games have just not quite hit, and that it probably would have done them better to just continue pumping out the content that works out. But at the same point, you know, I look at Ubisoft, and that seems to be the issue with them is that everything that they put out is the same. And
I think Ubisoft's problem is a quality issue as much as anything. Yeah, because all the problems with Outlaws seem to stem from performance and frustration and, like, you know, feature creep add-ins and stuff. Because everybody does want a Star Wars game that allows you to play in the role of certain characters or be like certain characters. And I think the feature creep kind of got in their way. And so that's my thought on Outlaws. Disappointing as opposed to. Go ahead.
What I was thinking more like people being a little tired of Far Cry and Assassin's Creed kind of being like the same game, just a little bit different enemy in the same type of world and the same type of like gameplay loop. So it's like I look at that and think like, oh, you know, like we look at Warner Brothers and think, just keep making Arkham games, it'll be fine. But then we look at Ubisoft and it's like, you guys need to change up the Assassin's Creed thing. It's not doing it anymore. So like Mirage was a good departure from the traditional after Odyssey, Valhalla. I'm blanking on the other one, the one in between those. I can't think of. Anyway, so yeah, I think it's interesting that we want one of one and want something else from the other. In some cases, like we point to Star Wars Outlaws is a good example of them going with the Star Wars IP, but maybe not giving it enough time. We then look at like something like Avatar, which is kind of flown under the radar for a lot of folks, and you know, is getting a content update soon and doing really, really well. Really showcase like the power of like what you can do with a PC and stuff like that. So it's really interesting to kind of see like where people's perspectives go. I'm glad that there's a new Hogwarts game going to be made at this point because I genuinely loved Hogwarts Legacy. It really did fulfill that like kind of wizarding world passion that I have. And social issues aside, like clearly, you know, there's things that you have to navigate with that, but at the very base of it, that game is fantastic and the world is magical. Not, you know, no pun intended, like the actual game world itself was just a real beautiful thing to actually venture around in and spend time in. So I look forward to them doing something else like that as well too, maybe with a little bit of different puzzles or things like that. So, and I have no clue what they're going to do with the Arkhamverse, but they really need to kind of revisit what made them special about that and try and recapture some of that.
Let's get to, if you don't mind, we have a couple listener questions that people have written in. And this one comes from X Bacon Gaming. He says, will Indiana Jones outsell Astrobot's amazing 1.5 million sales, all level of sarcasm intended? I think clearly he's mocking the low sales of Astrobot despite its quality, which again, I think is a Sony problem, right? Like Concord, not a bad game. Nobody wanted it. Didn't sell at all. The Horizon VR game didn't move the way they wanted it to. So do we think Indiana Jones outsells Astrobot? You'd asked me 2 months ago, I'd have said no. You ask me right now, I'll say barely. I still don't think Indiana Jones sells big on account of the IP not being really that relevant. However, to hear and see all the content creators Mr. Boomstick, John from Xbox Era, Paris Lily, all these people say how good their experiences were with Indiana Jones. Makes me think the game's got a better chance than I initially did. So there's that. But again, he's asking sales, not people played. People played, I think you get 5 million thanks to Game Pass. Sales,
I think
barely beats it.
Well, I think it's going to depend a lot on how many like fans of the IP pick up physical copies because of the IP. Whereas like Astrobot, that's a purchase that you have to make, and not like a long-standing IP that has like a lineage in video in movies. So I think it'll sell more than 1.5 million. Just based on the fact that there are at least 1.5 million Indiana Jones fans out there that are also gamers as well. So they will probably pick up that game just for the sake of owning it, so that they can say that they own it. I do think that Game Pass is going to be a lot higher though. And I think that that's because just more people are going to be interested in getting into it. It's going to be really telling when that deep dive video into the gameplay goes live in next week. And I think that is something that is really going to like tell people like whether or not they're actually going to jump into this game. Because right now we still have Stalker 2. We've got Microsoft Flight Simulator. There's the Soul Reaver remakes that are coming out shortly beforehand as well too.
Not remakes, remasters.
Remasters, sorry.
A relevant thing. I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but like.
No, you're right. I usually like if it's being brought back from the dead, I always just like go to remake as something that I navigate toward. But you're right. It is a remaster, not a remake. Which is a shame, because I think that game would look amazing if it was remade.
Yeah.
But I think that Indiana Jones's deep dive video is going to be very telling on whether or not people decide that they're actually going to be playing this. I think people will. I think that initial reporting on it has been very positive, and I think as a result, people are going to find their way into this action game, which is a little more of an adventure game than an action game. And I think that people will go in enjoying the story the same way that people are enjoying the story in Call of Duty Black Ops. So I think it'll do well. I think it'll sell more than 1.5 million. I think it'll have a much larger number on Game Pass. I would not be surprised if it exceeds 5 million players on Game Pass. But that's also like people booting up the game for the first time and looking at the start menu. So hard to say.
Do you think that this game sells Xboxes in any way? Like, will the olds that are really excited pick it up?
I don't think it'll sell units. I think it will get people who have maybe lapsed on Game Pass to pick it up for a month and give it a go. So I think people that are already in the ecosystem and playing the games that they normally play, if they aren't subscribed to Game Pass, I think this will bump them up after Call of Duty, because then you're getting Call of Duty and you're getting Indiana Jones for the month of December. I think that a lot of people will pick up Game Pass Ultimate to try it out, so that they don't have to waste the money on like whether or not they're going to like it or not.
Right. I think this is a game for the olds. I don't think anybody cares at all about Indiana Jones.
When you say olds, are you calling me old?
Yep. Because you would have seen Indiana Jones in your childhood, and anybody kind of the next generation up wouldn't have watched it in its time, right? Like it would have been like, all right, I'm gonna show you this old movie, right? Yeah. So that's why I say that. And I say that with no apologies, nor do I say it with shame. Like, that's okay. Like, in many ways, Halo is a game for the olds, and I have no apologies to that. I freaking love Halo. When I have posters of Halo in my classroom and the kids are like, that's that guy's Halo, right? And I'm like, shut up.
The Halo guy.
So,
Fortnite.
They don't actually make that joke, which is funny, which is a testament to how rarely Master Chief shows up in the Fortnite shop.
Once, no, twice.
Yeah, seems like it. Nonetheless, I hope Indiana Jones does well, because for all intents and purposes, people are excited, right? And it'll be interesting also to see how people take to the lack of shooting in Indiana Jones. Do they want to solve puzzles, and do they want to traverse
Yes.
in first person with a whip?
Yes. They
Do they?
do. Yes.
All right.
Because
Okay.
it's for the same reason you don't play women in games, because you want to embody yourself in video games to have that experience. So you want to play the main male character in when you're going into content. And I think Indiana Jones does that. And I think
Mhm.
there's a lot of gamers out there that love that as well.
Mhm.
Having it in third person sometimes will give you that sense of like connection that you are Indy kind of moving through the world, but there's going to be something about whipping a guy and dragging him to the ground and pulling the, or like whipping the gun out of his hand, or
Mhm.
like grabbing him by the collar of his shirt and punching him in the face till he falls over so you can put on his outfit.
Mhm.
There's something about that that is just quintessential Indiana Jones versus Nazis while he's infiltrating their base to figure out what's going on with this, artifact that they're having to do. It's during the prime of Indiana Jones's like time between the movies. So it's ripe for the taking. And I think that there's a good opportunity for gamers who like that gameplay style to really find an in with Indiana Jones into an IP that they might not necessarily have been interested in, but may actually kick up interest the same way that a game will grab you and cause you to jump into the history of that IP.
Mhm.
So I think that there's a really good opportunity for that. And I think it being in first person will help allow people to feel like they're actually doing what they're doing. It's one of the things that actually drives people to play Sea of Thieves the way they do, is because you feel like you're actually embodying the pirate that you are on the season. Sure. You're grabbing the ropes for the sails and turning them. You're pushing the anchor. You're steering the wheel. There's something about that instinctively makes you feel like you're more connected to what you're doing. And if you're having fun in the actual adventure aspect of Indiana Jones as a result of that, I think a lot of people are going to really, really connect. It's the same reason people love Halo, for grappling around and like headbutt, or not headbutting, but using the butt of a rifle to smack the back of a grunt.
Yep. Okay. You're selling me on it for sure. You're selling me on it for sure. I still think that I and many people, their first gut reaction is going to be, I want Uncharted. I want Tomb Raider. And like, again, not a good attitude to approach video games with. And so I don't advocate it, but I think that's going to be what a lot of people think they're getting if they're not paying attention to coverage. So,
yeah, no, that's true.
Let's see. We have a couple questions. Safetyist in chat asking, do we think that the handheld will be just a Series X? Like he's talking, okay, previous question from him. He says, so you think Xbox is bringing out their handheld next year? Do you think the handheld will be just an Xbox Series X, or will it be more powerful than an X? I would imagine you're happy if you get the power of a Series X on a handheld to play games natively. That's an impressive feat. I would think it'd be more like an S. But that said, I do think you see a handheld next year, given all the setups that Microsoft has done on the back end to its UI and UX experience to let it work on mobile and tablets and such. So I do think you're getting one. I think it'll be a niche product in a very similar way to the PlayStation Portal being a niche product. We talked at the top of the show, there are a lot of ways to play Xbox, and they're not going to be confining. They're going to be opening up and giving more options. So that's what I think is going to happen. Will I get one? Likely, yes, on account of coverage, similar to how I know some of the content creators on the PlayStation side bought a PS5 Pro, despite it being like, it's all right. Poor Tamar Hussein from GameSpot got flamed on socials because he was like, you don't need one. And like, do I think anybody needs one? No. If it was an Xbox version, would I get it? Probably. We cover Xbox. It makes sense.
I think there's a difference between a $300 to $400 handheld versus a $700 console that's 4 years removed from the launch.
I bet you that handheld is $500 or more.
$500, dude. I mean, it's possible. Like the handhelds out there are pretty expensive already.
And they're raising the price of consoles, not going down.
Well, it's a new world. I think that there's I'd be very impressed if they managed to get it to be as powerful as the Series X. There's a lot of heat that comes off of the Series X, and to try and get that down paired into a handheld form factor, I don't know that that's possible. What I will say is one of the things that I think would be a boon to Xbox is if they somehow manage to find a way to integrate their storage card system into a handheld. If you could take the storage cards, the expansion cards, and slot that into a handheld, I think that would be a fantastic way to kind of like really utilize like underused hardware right now. You'd see a spike in sales because people would look at that and be like, well, yeah, 500 megabyte or 500 gigs or a terabyte or 2 terabytes on a storage card with that kind of like load speed to be able to play off the card natively. I'd do that with a handheld. Like, that'd be fantastic. But I don't know that that's necessarily like a need, you know. I don't know that that's necessarily like something that has to be done, but I would very much expect that a handheld would be somewhere in between a Series S and X. But I don't think it's coming out next year. I think it's coming out in 2026 when they do like a full generation.
Okay. All right. I like the idea of that. And then the idea of like a hybrid, I also wonder, would Xbox pursue a hybrid? I don't see why not, but I also see that they're not selling hardware as it is. So why go that route? I don't know. Like, they want Game Pass machines and they want to put them wherever they can. So, you know, I love the idea, the possibility that they could integrate with Steam. I feel like Xbox and Steam have been good buddies. So there's something to that.
We've seen the X screen. I can't remember the name of the manufacturer, but X screen I think is the screen that you can screw onto the back of an Xbox Series S that came out very early in the lifespan of this generation. A lot of people picked one up. A lot of people enjoyed that because it really did kind of all encompass the power of a Series S on the go. Then we started to see stuff like the ROG Ally, the G Cloud, handhelds picking up the slack, and Xbox kind of pushing Game Pass to those consoles. And now that we're finally going to be getting access to our library through Game Pass over time, like as soon as they start like loading up more games that are not just in Game Pass onto xCloud to be able to stream our content from our devices or stream content from xCloud. I think that's going to really open up the ecosystem to different types of hardware. I don't think that they need to do like a hybrid system like the Switch where it docks and then you play it on the TV. I think that's going to open up too much confusion about what this is. Just make it a straight handheld the way the other competitors are. Just label it Xbox and give it the power of a little bit better of a Series S. We just got a Take-Two's CEO was in a stakeholder meeting, and they literally just announced that one of the questions came up from a shareholder was the Series S is by design a low-spec console, and presumably GTA 6 will push a lot of boundaries technically, I would suspect. And Strauss Zelnick said, we support the platforms where the consumers are for as long as they're there. And we find a way to support platforms despite different levels of tech. Our labels are really good at that. I'm not really worried. To me, that says that if a developer looks at the hardware, sees that's where players are playing, they're going to find a way to get on that hardware. It doesn't matter what the spec is. Doesn't matter how underpowered it may seem. If players are on that console, on that handheld, that's where those games are going to go, because they want the money. So they'll figure it out. So I'm looking forward to a handheld from Xbox because I want to have something that's more native, that's connected directly up, because there's plenty of times my G Cloud will not boot up my Xbox and I cannot stream from my console. I have to rely on xCloud. Having a native console connected up to Wi-Fi that has my library of games natively installed. Can't wait for that day. Don't know if it's going to be through a ROG Ally. Don't know if it's going to be through a Steam Deck. Not sure, but I would love to have an Xbox version.
Yeah. Real quick, guys, if you are in chat and you are a channel member, please make use of those new emotes, whatever they whatever your preference may be. They are pretty friggin' dope. And
I like them.
Enjoy them. Yeah, I like them too. If you have ideas for more emotes, let me know. Because I added the Xbox logo, the VR one, and there was one indie because of fan requests. So please indeed make your requests and I will see about getting them put in. It's not hard. I just have to take time to do it. Logan, can we read off our patrons real quick and thank them?
Yeah, would love to.
Go. We shouted out Stephen H last week. I just want to thank him again because a lot of people don't go to Patreon for reasons, and I respected all of them. If you are on Patreon, thank you. Stephen H is our latest one. I just appreciate him. So,
yeah, definitely. As always, every episode we try to get the tier 2 and tier 3 shout outs for the community members who are supporting us. It does make a difference. You too can do that. If you want to go through Patreon, just head over to patreon.com/Xbox expansion pass. You can also subscribe through the YouTube as well. Plenty of tiers and ways to support there. As such, I want to call out Edward, Nicholas Johnson, Ellery Woods Parker III, Rob Frawley II, Tao Zochi, Randall Thor 19, Silkenit, African aka Charles Jones, Game Positive, Jampack Sam, Matt Valdez, Rick Davis, Red Beast, Xbox Mike 29, The Lord Sir Master James Suddy, Brendan Myers aka The Winter Gamer, Sony's VP of Marketing Kevin Butler, Clint Coombs, DJ Hero, and Dano12. Thank you all for your love, for your support, for your conversation, but most of all, your friendship.
Big time. And one staunch supporter of XEP since the very beginning has been Todd Oxtra, and I want to give him a shout out. I want to give Secret Friends Unite a shout out because he is just one of the kindest individuals. Seeing his friendship with the Nerd Chat has always been fun, and he's just such a great person, so I'm appreciative of that. Matt Valdez, another great supporter of XEP, says, let me get a Wolfenstein emote. I'll add it to the list, my friend. No problem. Wolfenstein. I will work on that, my friend.
It reminds me of Captain America.
That was the goal. Yeah, that was the goal. Yeah. For sure. Let's see. We have a few more listener questions before we get on out of here. The first one comes from Anubis. He says, Halloween is over and it's straight to shopping season now. What is your must-get gift? What's the one game little Timmy's parents need to buy him? Let's see here. I think it's such a cop-out answer. Game Pass is the gift, and the one game is Call of Duty, right? Game Pass allows that.
Yeah, that's really tough. The must get gift. I mean, are we assuming that they've already got the console and that they've already got Game Pass? Like, are we looking to see like what's something that came out this year that they probably wouldn't have gotten for their birthday, and that Star Wars Outlaws.
I don't know if that's the must play. Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, but they already got that. That was something that they got like a couple years ago. What's really? Something this year that you think that they should be getting as an absolute like must? Because I already know like Call of Duty is probably something they're going to get outside of Christmas. They're probably bugging. Yeah, I know it is, but I'm trying to think like aside from the normal answer. Honestly,
so how about we do gems that you could get them? You want to do that?
Ooh. Well, okay. If we're going to do gems, then I'm going to go straight to the transparent Xbox controller. Get them a custom console controller. Go to Xbox Game Lab, get it embroidered, get the new translucent colors, and get them like a really nice translucent Xbox controller. That would be, to me, something that would pop out and be like, hey, you've got your player one game controller. Like how many times when you got a new console back in the day, you always had your controller. And if you had friends come over, you had like maybe the third party ones, you know, like the Mad Cats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think like a custom embroidered like your controller would be a go-to get for a kid for Christmas.
I dig it. Also, Gentle Stone beat me to it in chat, but I was going to say a good headset. A good headset's always a good one. And I'll argue that SteelSeries remains my top tier on the pricey side, but the bang for your buck, even with it being pricey, is that much more than it could be. And so I will live and die and swear by a good SteelSeries headset. Our buddy David Burdett over at Gaming Trend, who, shout out to him, by the way, he got box quoted for his Call of Duty review. Shout out to him.
Yeah, noticed that.
Was cool. But yeah, I would say a good headset is a good one. If we're not doing a game, then a headset and the translucent controllers is the way to go. Um, Dano12 in chat says, happy episode 250, bud. Thank you, man. You're awesome. You are amazing. Let's see. The real answer here is an Xbox console wrap. Goodness gracious. Jam Pack Sam, by the way, like blowing up, super popular over on Threads. His Instagram and TikToks are incredible. His success has been a cool side thing that I've watched as XEP's gone on. Getting to meet and watch Sam's success has been incredible.
Yeah.
It's
really amazing how long he's been using that that voice pack, that voiceover pack that he's had for his voice. Because if you hear his real voice, it sounds nothing like that northeastern, very kind of radio voice. His actual voice, very different. Really surprised to see him still continuing the success with that voice pack. Congrats.
I was looking at some of the list of the games that came out this year. Dude, there's a lot that disappointed, which is also kind of funny. Don't tell my secret slogan. Nice. That disappointed that I think people wanted more from. I'm looking at Suicide Squad. I'm looking at Hellblade, despite my love for Hellblade. Skull and Bones came out this year, finally. Dragon's Dogma 2 sold well, but I don't hear anybody talking about it right now. Performance-wise, I was boned by some of its performance and mission structure. Destiny 2, The Final Shape came out this year.
Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred would be a good gift for the kid. Like you've already got it with Game Pass. He's already got the console. He's already got the controller. He's already got the headset. Call of Duty's already been there. He's already got Game Pass. Get him Vessel of Hatred.
Good call.
Like scar the children. That's the goal. 2025. Let's scar the children mentally as deeply as possible. Got to get the therapists something to talk about with them, like how did Diablo mess you up?
Make them play Hellblade.
Yeah,
make them play Hellblade with that omnidirectional sound. So.
That'd be good. Yeah. Let's see how much we can damage the next generation. That's the goal of the olds, right?
Yeah. Make them play Indiana Jones. Who's this guy? He's in Fortnite. Space Marine 2, a good suggestion. That's a good suggestion. I haven't played that game.
I need to go back to that. That was it's really good.
Yeah. All right, Logan. Let's see. I'm trying to think about what stuff that I have. Okay. First of all, Southeast Aftermath. I've been enjoying the Batman Arkham Shadow on my Quest 3. Shout out to you. I have been too. I love Arkham Shadow and I love my Quest 3. I am in on that system, dude. I am loving it. Standalone VR that's decent quality. Yes, sir. I'm playing Population 1, which is like Fortnite. Cool. Let's see here. Logan, projects that we have upcoming. I'm working on a few interviews. Again, sometimes they take forever to get done. Sometimes they go very quickly. I don't think we have reviews coming. Are we planning to do a COD review? I haven't played it enough to do it.
I would like to do a COD review. I'm also working on Starship Troopers right now, which is really it's good, but also I just want it to be Helldivers too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Starship Troopers and Call of Duty. I've got enough under my belt for multiplayer and for zombies to have a good impressions on it. I just would want to put more time into the campaign to be able to work on that. So those are kind of the ones that I've got stirring that I'm working on at the moment. So we'll hopefully get some feelings on that. Honestly, I feel like I've kind of covered most of my feelings on multiplayer and zombies in the podcast though. But yeah, I'm looking forward to season 14 the next season, the newest season on the 14th.
Okay. I don't know if it's season 1. Season 1
on the 14th is coming out.
I'm with you.
New maps, new characters, new blueprints. Looking forward to trying and playing through all of those and stuff as I continue to grind my golds on camos.
Yep. All right. I want to thank Rick Davis, Coffee Chick, Clint Coombs, Captain Logan, James Suddy, Rick Davis again, Nisa Howard, Jam Pack Sam, Clint Davis again, Clint Coombs again, Harjeet Chani, Brendan Myers, Edward, and Portia Power for all their support for super chats and channel memberships today. We appreciate all of you. Thank you guys so much. Logan, tell people where to find you, my friend.
You can find me over on Blue Sky at Captain_Logun. I am no longer going to be spending a whole lot of time on Twitter. The best place to get me is going to be in Discord, where I'm going to be chatting with folks and lurking around, seeing how people are enjoying their gaming week. Outside of that, Keelhauled podcast is the other show that I do. That is the Sea of Thieves based content that I put out. It's been a really interesting season 14. So they're going to be bringing in a patch coming in this week that will bring back a lot of the features that they had to turn off for this season, and an interesting blow dart that will mimic whoever you shoot with it, including enemies. So it'll be kind of interesting to see like what people do with that. And yeah, they're coming out with a Sea of Thieves pinball machine. And I don't know why, but it's a thing. So
man can't get a dynamic background, but he can play pinball.
Yeah, what the hell? What the actual hell? I don't understand this. Another week goes by, another dynamic background completely missed. What is wrong with Rare sometimes? I just don't understand. So we're going to be talking about that on Keelhauled this week. So look forward to that on Monday.
I'm excited for you on that one, Logan. To every listener that has supported XEP in the last 5 years, thank you. Whether it was one episode, you've been with us for all 250, whatever it might be, thank you. If I could ask one more thing of you, let Xbox know that you enjoyed the show, share it, like it, let people know about XEP. We are a small channel, especially compared to other channels that also say they're small. Like I have the chance to watch TKO Asante every Saturday morning. The man's getting 100+ people in there. I'm honored that we have 10 people with us, 20, 25. Like I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you all. Have a fantastic rest of your week, everyone. Take care.